Blind but not blinded. This is a story of resilience, persistence, and of course, a whole lot of hope. Conversations with Silomo Khumalo, episode 6 of Unmasked Conversations.
Hello, hi, welcome to episode 6 of Unmasked Conversations with Tam. We are continuing with great conversations, and I'd like to thank you for the love and support, the positive feedback on how much these conversations are insightful. It's helping continue with the journey. And today I am going to have a rather interesting conversation with Silomo Khumalo. Silomo, welcome to Unmasked Conversations.
Thank you. It's such a great pleasure being here.
I'm so excited to be having a conversation with you, Silomo. You may not know this, but you really, really inspire me. And I've always, ever since we met back in varsity, I've always had you as one of the references of people. Obviously, you can actually achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve only if you put your mind to it. And today I chose to have this conversation with you because I would like you to share your experience and also to encourage and motivate people that may be discouraged or think that it's so hard to actually get to where you want to be in life. I really believe that your story is going to motivate and change a lot of people. So thank you so much once again for allowing me to have this conversation with you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
A lot of people, well, you might not know, but Silomo is blind, and maybe Silomo, you can take us tell us a bit more about yourself and take it from when you used to see, because you did have sight before, right? And just your journey into what happened and how did your life change at that specific point?
No, yeah, thank you, Tam. So I'm a township boy. So I was born in a township in a outer skirt of Durban called Claremont. I went to a school. I started in a school called Kranskloof, which was the local school where I did my, I think, grade 1 and grade 2, and then I moved into a better school. I think this was just after 1994. Yes, where it's strictly like black kids could now go and to other schools. So I sort of went into this Indian school where I was going to do my grade 3. It was at that very same year. I only did grade 3. It was at that very same year that I actually got blind. So you would imagine starting a new school, new better school, and then all of a sudden you actually become blind. So how it actually happened was it was January, and I, went to school like all other children, and I get to class and I couldn't see the board, and the teacher would say, no, look, come sit at the front. And I did sit at the front, and then what happened was that I still couldn't see the board. Okay. And then the teacher wrote a letter to my parents, and then they came to school, and the teacher told them that I couldn't see the board. Then she started advising them as to which possible hospital that can address my issue. And then my parents sort of took me to hospital, and then that was the last time I was actually in a school. for sighted children or children with sight, because from that time everything just deteriorated.
Okay, Silomo, I want us to go to that very moment when you got the news or you experienced the fact that you didn't have sight anymore, and just to share with us how the change was from the way you were treated mhlampe ekhaya, the way you were treated elokishini, and just the way you had to start now understanding yourself.
Yeah, the advantage that I had at the time was that I was young, né? So a lot of things I didn't understand them much at the time. But of course, family, understanding that now I am blind, it was very, very difficult for my mom, if I remember properly, at that time. I remember she had a friend who was very ill at that time, and so she used to leave home and go take care of her friend, and she received a call from my grandmother saying that Silomo is really suffering, and then she came and she cried.
Okay.
Yeah, so seeing my mom going through that pain was the first difficult part of accepting that I was a different child altogether. And then the other thing, the major change was leaving home and having to find a school for visually impaired children.
Okay.
Now that loss is a very devastating loss that one lives with for a very long time, and of which I also still sometimes now in hindsight now I begin to understand that loss actually has a huge impact on my life as an adult.
What is the impact? That's what I wanted to get to, because Silomo, for as long as I knew you, like you've been a person that has owned your situation, You've never in the years that I've known you been a person that feels sorry for themselves or feel like things should come to you easy because of your disability. And you actually don't even grab it as a disability. I mean, if I tell people that I remember my mom used to be so fascinated with our friendship because she wanted to know how you are coping at varsity with your disability. Because I think before me being exposed to the fact that there are people with disabilities that are actually grabbing the same opportunities as we are, that are in the same space as we are, that are striving for the same dreams as we are. It was a bizarre. So they'd ask me simple things like, Aibo, upheka kanjani, ubani omphekelayo? Or how is he surviving around campus? How's he getting around? I'm like, Aibo ma, he's normal, like all of us. Uyakwazi ukwenza zonke lezo zinto. If maybe you can just take us behind the Silomo that I knew, because like I said, I don't know a part of you where you ever like showed that it is hard being blind. What have been the challenges that you met along the way for yourself, and also how people receive you as a blind person?
I was lucky to have a very supportive family in a way. They were very supportive. More so like my mother. My mother sort of quickly realized that she had to, allow me to be as normal, inverted commas, as possible. That support sort of propelled me to I want to, break that those challenges that I was facing, and also my friends. The thing is that kids, some kids are will quickly understand. Like, for example, I still have my friend, my childhood friend, Andile, who quickly, learned to, work around, like to live around my life, my disability.
Yeah.
So yeah. So having that kind of support sort of allowed me to live a normal life. But the challenge was leaving home and going to a special school.
Okay.
That was a difficult part, and that is the loss that I was talking about earlier on, because you understand, Tam, that I was separated from my family from that time.
Yeah.
Because from there, boarding school, then I only come home during holidays. Then after school, when I finished matric, it was university. I also come home after, during holidays. And then after that, it was work. And I also have to come because I left after I finished university. I worked in Johannesburg. So Durban, I only went during holidays. So yeah, I understand, Guti. I've been without a family for that long, actually.
For the longest time. And wouldn't you say, Mhlambe, your move into boarding school, you are saying is a loss? Because, I mean, you were sheltered in a family that made you feel so normal, and you went to a special school that emphasized that you are different. And we are going to teach you how to survive with you being different. Isn't that emphasis, like, wasn't that like sort of a wake-up call to you? Who say, as normal as I may be treated, I am disabled and I am different.
Yes, exactly. Look, this thing of separating children with disabilities and putting them into institutions, special schools, it's not just a loss for children with disabilities. It's also a loss for society, because society doesn't actually learn to live around persons with disabilities, and they are always the other, So it's that kind of a situation that this whole idea of separating children with disabilities or persons with disabilities and putting them in institutions. Actually, that's what causes disability, no matter what. That's what causes disability, because if you don't have persons with disabilities around, right?
Yeah.
Then the society is bound to build a society without persons with disabilities. So that's why you find steps everywhere, but you don't find you won't find ramps everywhere. That's why you'll find lifts everywhere that doesn't have the voice system that will tell you on this floor. It's because the society is built for persons without disabilities. So yeah, so that's why we then are trying to push for an inclusive society where a person that has a disability, no matter msanga, doesn't have to explain themselves.
Yeah, I hear exactly what you are saying. And the shift from being in an institution where it was only people with disabilities to going to varsity, because that's when actually you were included, there was no separation. Yes. How was the adapting for you? Gusi, now you are gone, you are in the space where you are sharing the same facilities with people who do not have disabilities. How was that shift?
You see, this is in line with what we were actually discussing. That you are put in an institution and you are separated and meant to believe that this is how you must live your life. You know, you have someone to cook for you, someone to wash your clothes, someone to iron your clothes for you. You know, and your classes are close by. There's a specific route to class. So and then you move from that close environment into a bigger institution. Now, there are many blind fellow students that I know have either been excluded or dropped off university because of that very same thing, that they couldn't adapt at university. So it's not because they never had the capacity to learn, to study. The problem that they couldn't adapt in that environment. Now, even though I got separated, but when I came back home, I lived with my friends. I still, went out with my friends, played soccer with my friends. In fact, I'll come back and say, you know what, guys? At school, we play soccer in a plastic packet, so I can hear the ball. Then we play you get what I'm trying to say? So there are children who are put in institutions, in special schools, and when they come back home, Tammy, they are also still protected from.
They are locked up. They are not allowed to go.
They are locked up, exactly. You get what I'm trying to say? So when they get to university, then it becomes hard. It becomes hard because the thing is that much as the university is inclusive to a certain extent, but you need to also understand that, as you mentioned earlier, that even for you, it was the first time where you are in a community where people with disabilities are visible. You get what I'm trying to say?
Very true. Very true.
So now, even for you, it was a first time for you to have to learn to understand what. You know what? Silomo ngihamba naye kanje ecampusini. You get it? It was a whole new experience for you.
It was exciting.
You yes. So you for self had to adapt. Now the thing is that there aren't many that will adapt because they have been largely kept locked up and excluded, and then they are in a resident, and now all of a sudden they have to cook for themselves. All of a sudden they have to wash their own clothes. All of a sudden they have to iron their own clothes. All of a sudden they have to go to class by themselves, and the other thing, Nomatam Sanga, is this: the pain. Or let me not use the pain, because the pain, it should feel like I remember myself being sad. I'll talk about the loss.
Okay.
The loss of being blind, from being sighted and being blind. I think, in a way, it sort of gave me a fighting spirit in a way, because when I left and got into a special school, I really didn't like that, right?
Okay.
And I got in a special school. I didn't like the environment, so I sort of like had this feeling of wanting to overcome my disability by wanting to finish school. When I was at university, I was like, I can do this, Yes. So, whereas for some kids who are born with disabilities, it's just their part. It has always been part of their lives, being discriminated, being stigmatized, being excluded. So they've for some, they've always experienced exclusion, and they have accepted exclusion, and as a result, for some it becomes hard to adapt in that kind of an environment at university. Yeah.
That is really deep what you have shared, and I think what touches me more is the fact that despite people with disabilities having to adapt, the people without disabilities are the ones that actually need to unlearn a lot of things and understand that it is normal. We are all people, we are all different, and to start learning, because when you said to me, it was my first experience really being in an inclusive space, because we never, like, I didn't grow up around people with disabilities that I played around with, but me being the open-minded person that I am, I was ready to learn, I was ready to explore that, and I really found it exciting. But we are very few that want to do that, because I remember even in varsity, people used to ask me, like how they were interested to know how you live, but yet not brave enough to come close to you, to understanding, this is how you are living. So small things like why it makes that sound when it turns green. We are ignorant to that. You understand? Until you are friends with Usnom and you understand, because Usnom must know that now it's time for him to move. Understand? So a lot of the learning must come from the people with abilities, and I understand your passion now into really being a fighter for equality when it comes to that. What I have learned from this conversation is the need to educate, and the need to have society be open to accepting. We do have people with disabilities, and we need to open up and be more welcoming. We have maybe parents that are watching this, and they have kids with disabilities, and they've been maybe hiding them from society because of all the judgments and stuff. And we may have parents that have blind kids, and they are subjecting them to going to the robots and begging, using their disabilities, for people to feel sorry for them. What is it that maybe you would say to encourage those parents, or to change the mindset of those parents, to say it's still possible for that child to live their best life?
The whole idea of a child or a child with a disability is a charity case. Need sympathy is a bad attitude and a bad way of enabling your child to live a meaningful life.
Yes.
See, Nomatamsanga, the idea of inclusion is to enable persons with disabilities to be active participants in society. I had a motto, Nomatamsanga: perseverance is a mother of success. And never ever stop dreaming, never ever lose hope. Hope Nomatamsanga is the fuel of success. Ne? We are living because we have hopes, we have dreams, we want to achieve, we should never, ever lose hope.
I hear you very well, Silomo. Thank you so much for agreeing to this unmasked conversation. I really, really do believe that a lot of people are going to be motivated and encouraged to live their best life, besides, everything that will come your way and hinder us. Like I say, you are my greatest motivation, because I always, go back and refer to you in me doing things. And I trust that it is many people that you are going to touch with that ability. I titled this conversation Blind but Not Blinded, because of the great insights that you do have, and the great abilities that you have proved that you had. I trust that a lot of people are going to learn from that. Thank you so much, Silomo, for having this conversation with me.
Perhaps my parting shot is this, Nomatam Sang.
Mm-hmm.
I never want my disability to define my destiny. So I encourage every person facing any challenge, never allow their challenge to define their destinies. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Unmasked Conversation, episode 6. Do not forget to subscribe and share the video. Thank you so much, Silomo. Goodbye.
Cheers.